Unscripted.
I get the feeling that now a lot of people completely know where I was coming from when I said that competition is great for the industry. It drives everybody and everything forward. And that was definitely something that we saw with the Xbox buyout of Bethesda. Now, on one hand, you have, a lot of PlayStation fans. They don't want those games to go exclusive. But that's the name of the game. If you're Xbox and you buy, $7.5 billion invested in this new venture, of course you're going to want that to be beneficial to you. Sony can do the same thing. Sony could go buy a studio and make those games exclusive the same way that Microsoft can. But there were some very interesting announcements made about the PlayStation 5 that realistically a lot of people are going to be talking about. And also what we saw was a lot of good back and forth, and I love that. People might think I'm a PlayStation fanboy or an Xbox fanboy or whatever. I'm just a competition fanboy, I guess. I just love seeing this because it always ends up working out well for us, the fans, and that's what you continue to hope to see. And you can continue to hope to see, that fight that we didn't see from Xbox this entire generation. So hopefully we do continue to sort of see that going forward. But hey, let's get started. What's up, everybody? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really do appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that. It helps out the channel and it means a lot to me personally. If you're looking how to support a small YouTuber such as myself, yes, the best way to do that, honestly, is just a simple like. That's all it takes. A like of a video. That's all it takes, honestly. If you really want to take a minute to consider subscribing, that would be much appreciated. You can also, by all means, take a minute and hit the bell so you're notified of all the content as soon as it drops. I do daily content, off the cuff, unscripted, all personal, real emotions and feelings, my own personal thoughts. So yeah, just keep that in mind as we continue to go forward, because that's really important. Much appreciated. Shout out to all the old subscribers, new subscribers, everybody in between. You are simply amazing and you are appreciated here. I've been loving the interactions, whether it be on PSN, Xbox Live, or even Twitter. You guys are simply fantastic, so thank you so much. So yeah, the buyout of the Bethesda thing, I think, took everybody by surprise. There were rumors that Bethesda was ripe for a buyout for a long time. I think I even did a video about how I thought Sony maybe was going to buy them out. There was a rumor of that at one point, which never seemed to correlate. But, again, these things kind of happen. You're always going to see things pop up. I mean, there's rumors of Microsoft and Sega. There's rumors of this. There's rumors of that. There's always going to be stuff to talk about. But what I found to be particularly interesting was the fact that Sony, even though we know what we're going to be getting, and listen, I've got mine pre-ordered. I'm happy about that. But we still don't have sort of much of a deep dive or anything like that. And now, in fact, we haven't even seen people realistically with one of these things in hand, per se. So now we're starting to see how that's starting to kind of change. And Sony has officially announced, and I'm going to link this in the description, that the PlayStation 5 will be hands-on next week. There's going to be hands-on videos next week. So in a few days, there's going to be select Japanese content creators that are going to be able to try out the upcoming PlayStation 5 consoles and then share their experience in new YouTube videos. Now, today, Sony Interactive Entertainment confirmed on the official PlayStation blog that they will take part in the YouTube Gaming Week. Popular Japanese content creators will be able to try out the console in the next few days, and they'll be allowed to share their thoughts in new videos that will be made available on October 4th. Sony has also confirmed that there are plans to let more YouTube content creators go hands-on with the PlayStation 5 in the coming week. A full schedule for the YouTube Gaming Week has also been released, which is going to be in this article as well. Clearly, the PlayStation 5 is going to be launched on November 12th in North America and other territories on November 19th, the rest of the world, and offers a lot of different and distinct features and availability. So they're sort of taking things the same way that Microsoft is. If you look at what Microsoft is doing, Sony is doing a little bit more traditional with a lot of things. Okay, they're doing more of a kind of, hey, we're going to advertise on TV and all these traditional places. Microsoft, on the other hand, have done more sort of grassroots stuff where they're sending a lot of stuff to YouTubers and content creators and I guess what's considered influencers nowadays, and getting people to hype up the stuff for them, which is a very smart move if you think about it. And I think that it really makes sense for them to be able to go out there and do that and achieve that, going forward. And where it comes from, a good place, obviously. I do think that Sony and Microsoft both have, interesting different pitches for different ideas. At the end of the day, it's really going to come down to, which one's going to be more appealing. And so far, what we've seen that's even though Microsoft is, making a kind of a run for it, clearly they aren't becoming more appealing than PlayStation as a whole, since we did get some incredible news from that. So again, people were looking for maybe the Xbox Series S to be this big seller, to possibly outsell the PlayStation 5, some kind of NPD miracle, as it were, this November, and it doesn't really look like that's happening. Of course, we've gotten some early word on that the PlayStation 5 has actually tripled 3-to-1 the pre-orders in the UK specifically of what the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S were able to achieve. And not only that, but there's even more good news if you're PlayStation. There was all this talk about yields and concern about them not meeting demand, but at the end of the day, they had more stock for their first wave of pre-orders, and they're also going to have more waves of pre-orders in the upcoming weeks before the launch. Microsoft had very limited stock, and they are completely done with pre-orders already up until they launch the console. So there's actually low Xbox pre-order quantities, which were actually a concern for like GameStop in particular, as they had a limit. And most of the limits, even including Wario64, you guys might know him on Twitter. He handles a lot of gaming deals and stuff like that. He says that he heard from sources that some numbers for GameStop per store allocations for Xbox Series X pre-orders were 6 to 12 per store, and Series S were 2 to 4 per store, whereas there was more than 20 mostly at a lot of stores for the PlayStation 5 and things like that. So a lot of people kind of went home. Not only that, but there was a lot of confusion even over the name of the Xbox Series X and Xbox One X. So apparently there was like a 700+% jump in Xbox One X sales on like Amazon and things like that from people kind of being confused. Even some people being confused with the Xbox One S and spending money on an Xbox One S, which I thought was pretty funny. Like, you know, again, this was something that I said could definitely potentially be a problem going forward, because you've kind of named your consoles pretty wrongly over the years, and it's just something that I thought was a very interesting part to sort of see how that kind of happens and how that came about. So even when Microsoft gets it right, they kind of get it wrong as well, which, I mean, you can't really blame them. I mean, what were they going to do? Back in the day, they came out a generation behind PlayStation, so you couldn't come out with a Xbox 2 when PlayStation had a PlayStation 3, so people would kind of go with the power narrative that 3 was more than 2, and so they would have kind of lost on that front. But then they kind of went back and kind of screwed themselves with the whole Xbox One. Let's just call it an Xbox One when there already was an original Xbox, although nobody really called that then Xbox One. It was just an Xbox, and then Xbox 360, and then you had Xbox One and One S and One X and One SAD, and you know, now you have Series S and Series X, so it can be a little bit confusing and things like that. But one of the things that I thought was very interesting was the fact that Sony had way more stock than people kind of gave them credit for. And I remember I did a video a couple weeks ago about how they were shipping out air shipments of PlayStation 5s to meet demands and things like that. So while I do think that Microsoft has done some good, hey, and I'm glad that they were able to go out and sort of, you know, beat expectations, because in that same report that says that the PlayStation 5, you know, did 3-to-1 the amount of pre-orders that the Xbox Series X and S did, it still said the Xbox Series S and X more than smashed the record of the Xbox One in pre-orders. So you do have that. It looks like Microsoft has recovered from that. Clearly, there's a lot of more rumors and things like that going around in terms of maybe Microsoft purchasing even more studios. Like I said, it could be Sega. People are saying that there's other studios as well. Microsoft is definitely playing the long game. I do think that they want to compete. You just sort of wish in the back of your mind that they would have done some of these moves years and years ago to maybe get ready for the launch of this generation. But I think, you know, the whole narrative of no games or whatever will probably go away in a few years after some of these studios start cranking out some games. And I think that's exactly what Microsoft's idea and thought process is. The only thing that I can say as a fan is, you know, what took so long? You know, because you're sitting there wondering, okay, well, you really stopped making games about 5 years ago. You canceled games, you closed down studios, and now you're buying all these studios and things like that, but they're still years and years away from really coming out with anything. So you launch your console with nothing AAA from your first party. the entire year you're going to have nothing AAA from your first party. Your new acquisition of $7.5 billion is going to provide 2 exclusives, or at least timed exclusives, to the PlayStation 5 next year, and nothing for your own console. So, you know, hopefully Halo can get launched next year, and that's going to really kind of drive some sales and stuff like that. So that's the general hope. But is that something that's actually going to happen? Because there's rumors that that's going to get pushed back to 2022. And if that happens, you're really looking at a very long time between AAA titles. Now, listen, I think 2023, 2024, 2025, those are going to be really great years for Xbox software, okay? And if they can make Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield exclusive to Xbox, then I think that that's going to be a huge bonus for them, and that's what should happen. I know there's going to be some PlayStation people that disagree with me, but just like if Sony were to buy CD Projekt Red and make Cyberpunk an exclusive, or Witcher 4 exclusive, like, that's how it goes. That's business. You know, people have to understand that that's how these things work. So with that being said, I'm going to link all this stuff in the description below. Let me know what you think. This is, you know, good news for Microsoft and Sony. Honestly, we needed this competition. It makes things much more fun, and I can't wait to see what happens in the future with all this. But I would love your guys' thoughts and opinions on it. Please let me know. Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. Rack 'em up. Game on. Game on. Crapgamer out.
Unscripted.